Hereby call the meeting of the Yreka City Council to order. All please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, the first thing I'm going to ask you is if you have your cell phone with you, please turn it to the off or the silent position. Public comments. This is the time for public comments. Council may ask questions but may take no action during the public comment section of the meeting, except to direct staff to prepare a report or place an item on a future agenda item. If you are here to make comments on a specific agenda item, you may speak at that time. If not, this is the time. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes. Speakers, I see you've already taken the proper place. Please speak at the podium. State your name and mailing address so that city staff can respond to you in regards to your comments or provide you with information, if appropriate. You are not required to state your name and your address if you do not desire to do so. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Kathy Graves. I live in Yreka. In February 2013, representatives from the Genealogy Society of Siskiyou County, the Siskiyou County Historical Society, and Yreka Historic Preservation met to discuss ways in which our groups could share ideas, partner in events, and create mutually beneficial projects. One result from that first meeting was the formation of the Siskiyou History Alliance. Each member group, all of which are 501c3 organizations, has a collection of research materials that reside in different buildings in Yreka. Each group has different days and hours of operation, and it is not unusual that researchers utilizing materials in Yreka Preservation's collection might be sent over to genealogy on a different day when they're open to further their research. For this reason, Alliance members began to think about and discuss what it might look like if the various collections could all be housed in one building that would be open several days a week rather than the limited hours currently available at each of the locations. When talk of the Yreka Police Department vacating the Carnegie Library building first came up, the Alliance sent a letter of interest in 2014 to the city for consideration. We thought this would be a wonderful space to place the research collections while bringing back the original purpose of the Carnegie. Obviously, the police department did not move at that time. However, it now appears there is a completion date for the new department building, at which time the Carnegie will be vacated. The Alliance sent a second letter in July of 2018 to the city, stating our continued interest in the building. We see a definite need for a county-wide history research library and would like the opportunity to propose how we could make this a viable and potentially profitable attraction for the city of Yreka as well as for the county of Siskiyou. The Carnegie Library building has immense potential to meet our needs, and it would continue to be a historical treasure for our community. We are currently asking that you allow us to submit a proposal for the use of the Carnegie building as a history and genealogy research library prior to the building being vacated by the police department, and to be appraised of the appropriate time to submit such a proposal. As a history-minded group, the Alliance would want to preserve as much of the original woodwork, shells, and other building features as possible. We understand that the police department has maintained many of the original features of the building's interior during its occupancy. And while we are mindful of the historic designation status of the building, we would strive to continue to preserve and maintain the historic features in that building. We want to create a one-stop shopping history and genealogy research library by placing the research materials from the Alliance's member groups into this space. We would also be interested in working with any other nonprofits or groups who might be interested in or in need of space as well. There are several people in the audience who are members and represent those 3 different groups in the Alliance. Please consider our request and let us know when it would be appropriate for us to submit a formal proposal. Thank you for the time. History Alliance.
Thank you,
want a copy
Kathy.
of this?
You can give it to city council, or our county, our city
City
clerk.
clerk.
Not our council, our clerk, one of the above. Thank you, Kathy, thank you very much.
No, kidding.
Thank you, Kathy, that's very nice, and within your 5 minutes, you still have a minute left. Certainly.
Yeah.
We're not,
Yeah, the city can't entertain any use of that building until it's been fixed, because that's one of the reasons police department's moving. It leaks, there's all kinds of defects with the building, and the city would be liable if we let someone use it until it's fixed. So that's way down the line, it's not gonna happen immediately.
Well, basically what we're asking is if you would notify us when we can present our proposal.
okay, that's perfect.
That's awesome.
Okay,
Right, and we will direct staff to do that at this time?
Yes.
Okay,
thank you.
I know that there are several groups that had asked for that.
Yep.
So, good. Thank you. Okay, so are there any, oh, well, hello, Amanda.
Hi, how are you?
The chamber's here.
Yes,
Good.
the Chamber's here. I'm
Great.
the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce. We do have a few board members here. We have Vice President Dustin here. We have Sanjay. And then Wendy from Wendy's Minor Street Boutique also came today. So that's fun. Today we just really wanted to give you guys an update and a rundown for the rest of the year, what we have going on. So our Sizzlin' September Car and Bike Show is coming up September 15th, so that's all go for that. Next is our Jimmy Buffett themed holiday dinner dance, which is on November 17th. You shouldn't miss that, that's gonna be a blast. And then December 1st, we have our Parade of Lights and Night of Lights. And we are currently working on an additional event to add for next year, which, again, is in the works. And another campaign that's coming up is a Beautify Yreka campaign, which we are working with Mountain Crest Gardens, and hopefully we're going to work with the city on that as well. It's just still in the baby stages, so we'll be back to talk about that in the future. And I think that's all I have for you today, just an update, unless you had any questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Parade of Lights and Night of Lights on December 1st,
Yes,
so that doesn't follow the first Saturday after Thanksgiving?
it would not.
Okay, that's, I don't know if
That's-
I agree with that, because that's a long-standing tradition for
Right.
Yreka.
Oh, many years.
This is
That's
60
gonna be a
years.
problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So the main reason why we sort of thought about changing that up, we talked with some community members and we talked with some merchants, and decided that the community involvement for those events separately and the merchant involvement in those events separately is really lacking. So by combining these events and using the parade as a draw to bring people down, which it already does, it brings people down on that November 24th day as well. But those people generally just leave. So they don't come, there's nothing to do afterward, they don't stay. So in this way, we were hoping to actually make a whole Night of Lights a little bit bigger. So we bring those people down there and we give them a ton of things to do. You'd have the tree lighting, everything would go as planned. The parade would move back toward a day parade, and we did lose a lot of entrance when we put it into a night parade.
I'll take the difference. on that one.
Actually, that's not
quite the
true.
opposite, because I'm
And
the one
both
that
of us
changed
were
it.
on the board. No, it was a very
sorry.
small parade until it became a night parade, and it grew tremendously, exponentially doubled,
When it
tripled
went to a
in
night
size.
parade.
So that's wrong information.
Because of the lights is why it did that.
We were just looking at the past few years, and so our entrants were down in the past few years. So maybe not, historically, we didn't go back that far. But we were just looking at, the past few years to see what we could do. And we talked with the merchants to see what, their ideas were, and just because we have this amazing parade that we bring downtown and everybody just leaves. So we thought, why not have this parade and have everybody there and then give them something to do, which would be where the Night of Lights would come into play.
Well, actually, the way that it was done in the past, and Dwayne, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we had the parade and we also met with the merchants and asked the merchants to stay open, and they did. So when the parade was at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock during the day, at 5 minutes till 12 or 5 minutes till 11, there was nobody on the street. At noon, there was a crowd, boom, and as soon as the parade was over, poof, the crowd was gone. So Dwayne's idea was to hold a night parade. We did and put it in conjunction with kicking off the holiday season And so all of the merchants were open late, and they had, you know, they had art, they had punch, they had food, and what happened was, is that people came to the parade and then stayed afterwards.
Have dinner.
Now, I don't know what's happened, you know, since I haven't been with the chamber, but if you work it, and if you talk to the merchants, and you get them to stay open, it used to be at least a very successful parade and evening, and if you take that away, because a lot of people have their families home during the Thanksgiving weekend, and they like to come to the Old Town Parade and the feel of it, and if you take that away and you put it in with the Night of Lights, I think that's gonna leave a huge gaping hole.
Plus it's a long-standing tradition. I really have an issue with that,
And I
honestly.
think it's in your contract.
Well,
It is.
I
So
think
it is in the contract,
It is.
but it's not in the contract that we can't have it on the same day. So we just have to provide both of those events.
I'll have to take a look at the contract.
Yeah.
it doesn't have the
The
dates
date?
on it.
Okay.
I think that, you know, what was being looked at is to, similar to what was done, it sounds like when you were on the board and she was the PD? Okay, I didn't want to put you all both on the board at the same time, if that wasn't accurate. Was to try an experiment, and there was a discussion with the merchants downtown. So that was, I think, where some of this came from, at least that's what I understood.
Yes, yeah, we've just been talking with some of the merchants, and, you know, I do know that it has been an issue recently with the parade, and, you know, people aren't open, and just talking with different merchants, and they don't find a need to be open, because people don't stay,
Yeah.
is their concern.
Well, the other reason why we addressed it and changed it to an evening parade versus a daytime parade is for the spending activity. So after, everybody knows, Black Friday is that Friday after Thanksgiving. That Saturday is also Shop Local Day,
That's right.
and that ties in with us. So we have, it encourages people to shop local that day,
Right.
and they stay local, and that evening we have a night parade. That's what was the correlation between the two.
Right.
So there's more than just the
Right,
dynamics of that.
Which is perfect, but our vendors don't wanna stay open that day for that
On
parade.
the small
On
business.
Small Business Saturday.
Really?
Oh, the day
That's Small
after.
Business Saturday, that was the whole idea of that, so they can go shop, Small
Right.
Business Saturday, and then enjoy the parade, and actually be able to come to the parade. And I've actually done the lineup for the parade for the last 3 years,
Yeah.
as far as the lineup part, so I know the activity as far as how many people were in the parade and
Right.
everything else too, so, and how many people were on the streets and stuff, 'cause
Right.
I've been an actual part of this, I don't know if you know about
I've
that.
I
been
do,
there too.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. Well, just, and a lot of the reasons for, you know, trying to make this change really does come from talking with our merchants and asking them and seeing what they wanna do and seeing what they think would be a good idea. And again, just going back, and we have all those people downtown, and you're exactly right, but our shops aren't open, and they don't wanna be open.
It used to be.
That's
They-
that's their
yes.
fault, not,
Yeah.
I mean,
We
that's
can't make them
that's
be
a
open.
perfect business opportunity
Right.
when it's Small Business Saturday.
Right.
So that's nothing that's gonna change by changing it, or the parade on a different day.
Okay, that's enough. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be talking about this some more.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not done. Okay, Wendy.
Good evening. My name is Wendy Wilson. I live within the city limits out on Murray Avenue, and I also have a business on Minor Street. And I'm here tonight to support the change that Amanda just addressed with changing the parade to a daytime. And the reason I wanted to mention that is that I took care of my elderly parents, and both of them, having lived in this area for a long time and knowing it's an agricultural area still, liked to come to the parade and loved the fact that it was daytime, even if it was cold. We'd put Mom on the bench and bundle her up with some blankets over her lap or whatever. And the one thing that she wanted to see were the horses. Well, I mean, with the Night of Lights, you don't get horses. We had 2 last year, and that was it. And I couldn't believe those girls got through that parade without a calamity with the horses. But I think it would encourage some of the ranching people in the area to bring their horses in. We might even have horses riding with the colors, you know, at the beginning of the parade. And that sometimes depends on who, you know, is selected to do that. I understand that. But anyway, that was always another thing. And anyway, I think people with some of the old wagons and buggies and stuff would turn out and enter the parade. That was always fun to see. And the one thing I liked about daytime too, with both of my parents, they both lived into their 90s, and but my dad wouldn't go the last year when it was cold and it was nighttime. He said, no, I'm not gonna go. So we have an elderly community that I think we need to consider. They like to come out and see the things that I just mentioned. And I think those that would come would stay and perhaps have dinner in Yreka if they planned ahead. It'd give them time to take their buggies and horses home and come back for the lighting of the tree. I, frankly think it's a great idea. I think it would work. And the one thing that I think daytime will also provide is you can see the people. You cannot see them at night on the floats. You have these cute kids on the back of a truck or something, and you can't see them. We have parents trying to take pictures, and unless they know exactly where their child is, you really can't see that. So I'm hoping that, I think it's a great idea to do what Amanda suggested, and I'm just here to support that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Wendy. Anyone else? Don?
Did you say, when you introduced this public comment, that you can, during the public comment, make a decision to put something on the next agenda? You didn't say that?
No, what I said was we could give
Direct
things
staff.
direct staff. I said, except we may not make comments, which we just did, during the meeting, except to direct staff to prepare a report or place an item on a future agenda. So we would direct staff to work with whoever.
I see, okay. I'm gonna read it. Beacon of Hope is preparing for its 5th winter. The hope was that our permanent building at 480 South Foothill Boulevard would be ready by November 1st. Due to an extended building permit process, it seems likely we will not be ready for the November 1st opening. This communique is a request for the following zoning waiver. Beacon of Hope Gospel Rescue Mission is very concerned about the homeless and freezing weather. It is hereby requested that Yreka City Council grant permission for Beacon of Hope to be open at Yreka Community Resource Center, 201 South Broadway, on nights when the projected outside temperature is below 20 degrees Fahrenheit or inclement weather. This is for November 1 to March 31st, this year, 2018 to 2019 only. Guests will be required to wait behind the building pre-opening. One of the biggest problems we had was the homeless people wandering around the downtown businesses or the across the street businesses before we were open. So we would require them to wait behind the building before opening. And we have pressure because if they don't do what they're told, then they can be excluded for a week or a month or for the rest of the year. We also feel that the occasional irregular openings, because we don't know how many days it's going to be under 20, will discourage transients. Thank you for your consideration, and I've given you written copies, and I'm hoping that it will be on next agenda. And how do we find that out?
If you want to know what's on the agendas, you can sign up with the city clerk and get notification by email.
Okay.
You can do like we do and go to the city of Yreka and pull it up. That's how I have it on my
Oh,
computer.
okay.
Yeah.
And
Under
it's usually
agendas.
there at least a week ahead, isn't it?
Yes.
The Friday before, usually, sometimes not till Monday.
Okay, and the city clerk is Liz.
Yes.
She
So I
is.
know where to find her.
Council member has a question.
You can put it on the agenda. As a citizen, you can make a request that this be on the agenda, correct?
That's true.
So that would be,
He can make a request, but
Right.
Doesn't mean it's on.
but it doesn't mean it's on.
it doesn't mean it's on.
He has to work with staff.
So,
Okay.
but my request has to be on the computer. I cannot just look at you in the eye and say,
No.
I'm requesting it.
It doesn't have to be on the computer. You just fill out the form and you give it to Liz, and then, they work it into the agenda.
The city manager sets the agenda by municipal code, so you
Right.
submit your request to either myself or Steve Baker, which you've now done, and Mr. Baker will review it, and he will let me know if it's on the next agenda. I promise to contact you.
Oh, okay, so I don't have to look up anything.
No.
Well,
You guys are the best.
we try.
Good way to end.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you.
Okay, any other, Don?
Yes,
Good evening.
good evening. It's nice to have a meeting scheduled when I'm in town.
We'd like
Nice to be
see you.
retired and
It-
John taking all over the
It is that, it's
world.
wonderful. Starting back several years ago, we had issues up where I live on Hillcrest, and Park, and Discovery, and Cedar, and Maple, with a lot of kids riding oftentimes very noisy off-road vehicles, both four-wheelers and motorcycles and mini bikes. And at the time, a number of us in the neighborhood did talk to the chief of police and asked that this be stopped. And not only was it noisy, the issue were these were very young kids. They were riding without helmets. They were riding without any kind of safety gear. They ride in their shorts. They ride with flip-flops. And I was a motorcyclist, and this is, we're not talking parents giving their kids good instruction on what to do. So, nothing came out of that. This year, we changed chiefs, and it was suggested to me that I go talk to our chief, after he'd had a month in the chair to get it to fit him right, which I did. And we had a very pleasant conversation, and he assured me that A, this was clearly violation of state and city law, and that he would take care of that. And very quickly, they had meetings. I was contacted by at least 2 of the officers in Yreka, and we discussed the problem, we discussed what was going on, and we have had the nicest, quietest summer this summer because of the actions of the Yreka Police Department.
Great.
And I just wanted to let you guys know, and the chief as well, just how much I really appreciated what they did.
Good.
It was great.
Oh, nice to hear something nice.
Yes.
Thank you, Don, thank you.
Nothing positive.
Next time I'll bring something negative, don't worry.
No. We like it when you're nice. Okay, any otherwise, our fire chief
It's
is
public
up next.
comment.
So, still public
Yeah.
comment, okay,
So
chief,
Then when we're done out
Fire
here,
Chief Lemus.
Thank you for having us tonight. I just want to bring to your attention that, I just found out the other day through our Secretary Treasurer doing the tallies for all of our responses. The medical calls were the highest they've ever been, ever. July was 149 calls total. You know, every one of them was not a medical call. And we beat that in August by another 19.
Oh, really?
So with the study of the fire department coming up, I've spoken to the consultant on some of the information that he requested, and we talked at length about what could be done, and he has some really good ideas, so I think it's an opportunity for staff and also the council, when he does talk to you folks, to let him know for how long this has been going on, because it seems like things that we've tried in the past just haven't worked, both with the ambulance service and with dispatch. So I think if a concerted effort is made, I think we can make a difference, and so long as we still have a volunteer department with decent numbers, some of the folks that we have, like top responders right back there can tell you, it gets to the point where we don't want to see folks burn out at an early age just as we bring them on. And
Right.
there's definitely something that can be done. We're not opposed to, by any means, we do it because we want to help, but so many of them become ones that are, we could definitely stay home and there wouldn't be the ambulance should be able to take care of plenty of those on their own, so. We can discuss that more, but just like I say, I just want to make you aware of that, so.
Okay, thank
And we're
you.
ready outside anytime you guys are ready to break.
So you are the #1 item on the agenda. So presentation by Chief Jerry Lemus, Yreka Volunteer Fire Department, regarding your new
Right.
rescue vehicle.
Yeah,
So
very
tell us
exciting.
about
Yeah,
it.
we've taken delivery of a 2018 Ford F-250. Basically, it's a pickup truck with a canopy, but it suits our needs much better than the other vehicle, just because it can carry just what we need for medicals and not have all the weight that the other rescue was carrying, the F-550. It's much more practical, and the things that were on there for our rescue tools, jaws of life, so to speak, those have all been transferred to engine 410, which we also, it's been in service for several years. We brought it down too, so you can kind of see how we changed everything over to be more efficient, and it makes more sense. We also have water now on one vehicle with 410. So we go to a traffic collision, we have water as well as all of our rescue tools. So
And you have it here with you?
we have it here with us, yeah.
So we get to look at it?
Yeah, it's a field trip, yeah.
I think we have a recess, yes. So,
Yeah, it's here.
really, you're here to show us? Okay, I think there's one member of the audience that wanted to get up to the podium and
Sure.
say something.
Okay, we'll be outside whenever you're ready.
Okay, okay, we'll be out there just as quick as we can.
That's far more important than I am, but anyway.
Hi, Don.
Hi, as you all know, I only say good things up here, right?
Good.
No.
Cross my fingers.
But that's what I'm here for. And I'm gonna introduce it saying I live on North Oregon Street. You're gonna go, oh my God, here he goes. No, I need to say that being on North Oregon Street, I have really watched the men and the equipment working on that street. And I know there's been a number of hassles and problems that they have, unexpected things. After all, our blueprints, probably back to 1900, aren't the best that they could be. And we all know why. But anyway, I've watched these guys, I've watched the teams, the way they work. You know, they have 3 or 4 people in a row, and the first team comes in, does their job, second, third, and fourth, and they really have done it very well. And as a homeowner, anytime I have wanted to get in to my house, they've made sure I could do it, and they've been very polite and kind about it. So I just want you to know there's been a good side to all of that that's going on
Thank
out
you,
there.
Don.
Thank you.
That's good to hear, because I know it's been a challenge for homeowners in that area to get in and out of their homes and down the
Construction always
street.
is.
But just think about how nice it's gonna be when it's
We're gonna
done.
have the best road in town.
I know.
We're gonna put roadblocks on charge of admission.
Just like Halloween.
Just like
Okay, Claudia.
I'm Claudia East, my other half, yes, I live on North Oregon, and I do agree with Don, they have worked really hard, and there have been a lot of obstacles. There's only one thing that I would like to mention that I think that in future planning might be helpful if someone has a contract to repair city streets and that kind of thing. There have been a couple of occasions, and I don't imagine too often they're gonna be digging big trenches in the street very often, so
Hopefully not.
hopefully that's not the case. But there has been an occasion where there were trenches on both ends of the street in our block. There was no way anybody could get out or in. All of us on the street are senior citizens, and just a few nights ago, my neighbor, they had to call 911 because she had an event. There was at least one entrance. It would be nice if I know it's extra work for the poor workers, and they're working hard and in awful conditions. It's been hotter than blazes, and the smoke's been awful, and I can't even imagine why they're out there still breathing, but they are young, but you know. But just to have a metal plate
They
over
need-
part of
they
it,
need a
so
mask
there'd
like
at least be, yeah, I saw that. So there would at least be access for an emergency vehicle, or if there was a fire. That concerned me, cause I've called the EMTs for Dawn a few times, and so,
Oh,
you know.
no.
Yeah, you know.
Good.
Too many, but anyway, other than that, it's dusty, but they've been very considerate. They do their very best, even when the road is closed, to be sure the residents can come and go. And I know the city employees have worked really hard and checked on them. And so, you know, it isn't anything that anybody needs to be scolded about. It's just something that maybe the contractors in the future could kind of keep that in mind, just for emergency vehicles. Simply because knowing you wanna go down I-5 tonight, you may or may not be able to get anywhere, because even the emergency vehicles can't get by, because everybody's just,
Stacked up.
you know, blockaded. So, anyway, thank you very much.
Right, thank you, Claudia. So if there are no further comments right now, I will, gee, you had a few minutes left, Claudia. Okay, good. Then we're going to adjourn just for a few moments. Should I say take a recess? We're gonna go out and look at the new rescue vehicle that's outside, and you're all welcome to come. Discussion, possible action at 7:15. Discussion, possible action, consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion or a member of the audience wishes to comment on an item. The city manager recommends approval of the following consent calendar items. A, approval ratification of payments issued from August 17 through September 6, 2018, and B, approval of minutes of the meeting held August 16, 2018. What are the wishes of the council?
I make a motion that we approve 1A and B.
You have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2. Discussion, possible action, adopt resolution approving the destruction of certain city records identified by the finance director. Is this the finance director?
Yes, I can.
That's you? Okay.
Thank you. It's kind of getting ready for audit, moving all our files around into storage. We like to look through and then annually we purge the records based on the Secretaries of State's guidelines, and we're actually a little more conservative than those. I know you've kind of directed us for a comprehensive policy, and I know Don's looking at that, but at this point I just kind of want to keep the rhythm going of annually being able to free up space in the office and get these records into storage. But to do that, I've got to get some space freed up for those records.
Okay. Okay, any questions from the council? We have a motion.
I move approval of resolution to approve destruction of certain city records identified by the finance director.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, discussion possible action, annual development impact fee report. A, public hearing to solicit public comments regarding the city's intention to adopt a resolution approving updates to the city's capital improvement plan and development impact fee program. And B, discussion possible action, adopt resolution approving the development impact fee report and updating the city's capital improvement plan and development impact fee program. City manager, were you gonna report on this? Sorry, I got you at the wrong time. So is this you, Retta?
This is, right,
Okay.
correct. So this is kind of two things. We're looking and reporting out on the fees collected for the year, and what fees were collected, and if any of those fees were assigned to a project. And so we did collect on the attachment 3, shows the fees revenues received this year, and that was $98,109 rounded. Fees were expended in the water and sewer, as those fees are dedicated for the capital improvements that were done in 2010 on the Fall Creek improvement project, and then in 2012 on the USDA wastewater improvement project. We didn't have enough reserves for that, for the capital outlay, so what they're doing is augmenting the debt servicing for that capital component of that.
Okay.
And then there was interest earned on it. So we're recognizing the fees received and expended and the ending balance for the year. And then rededicating kind of the projects that we have on our capital project plans. And I can tell you there's been no updates to those projects or no adds to the projects from on the capital project plan at this time that are related to development and growth.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
Well, I guess
Dwayne?
if we're going, let's see, what part of this? Just a couple quick questions. That was all the impact fees. What about, let's see, I'm going down in the single family impact and blah, blah, blah. I'm on page.
Doesn't really have a page number.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
attachment on the attachment.
Single family and multiple family dwelling worksheet.
Okay.
So, and then it jumps, then we jump down to the commercial side of the
Right.
things. So we have on the residential side of that, we have a total base fee, single family residential with it's based off a 3/4 pipe because of fire suppression systems on that. So it shows the equivalent, the household equivalent ratio, 1, you know, for 3 5/8, 1 for 3/4, and 1 for 1 inch, as long as it has the approved sprinkler system
Mm-hmm.
on that. Then we jump down to the commercial side of it. And it's based, you go to 5/8 and it goes to 3/4 and it's 1.5. But I don't really.
You mean for the 3/4 inch?
Yeah, 3/4 inch goes to 1.5 equivalent ratio, which I understand why it's what it is, but there's a question on the aspect of, I think some of this needs to be based off of square footage versus, what it's based off. The commercial is based off of 2,500 square foot, that says there, commercial base per 1,000 square foot on the public facility impact fee on there. Some of that, when you're basing it off of that versus, you know, 1.5 ratio, if you're building a new structure, correct me if I'm wrong, you're building a new structure and this thing is only 1,000 square foot, they're getting jabbed for the 1.5 ratio, and it's only a small building, is that correct?
No, they're getting charged on the facility fees on the square footage.
2,500 square foot, base, right?
Right, on the base.
Right.
On that, and then again on the meter size for the, water meter size for that commercial.
Right, cause that's it's a
Each
3/4,
one's
but if
kind
you're
of-
doing any new construction, it has, for the fire suppression, it has to be 3/4, correct?
That's correct,
Okay.
on residential.
It's not, well, it'd be on
I
commercial
don't think,
too.
I'm not familiar on the building codes, but I'm not sure if commercial has that same fire suppression requirement.
Oh.
Because the difference between, you mean, the number of people maybe in a commercial building and in a private?
I'm not familiar, but I don't think it has that same fire suppression
Right,
requirement.
so these fees were originally developed, before the single-family residential fire sprinkler
Right.
ordinance, and there was a building code, requirement for fire sprinklers over a certain square footage for commercial, and it might even vary a little bit by use, but I know it was over a certain square footage. And what we did is went back and adjusted the, single family to deal with the fire sprinkler system, since now they're required in all fire sprinkler.
It looks like it's identical, the
construction.
1995-20, is that the identical?
Well, they're
one?
not,
No.
the household equivalent ratio on the very bottom table, which is
Mhm.
labeled on those two,
One.
is different because the council, we brought to council saying, hey, if somebody just needs more, a larger meter because of the fire suppression system that will hardly ever be used,
Right.
then we should try to treat them the same. And so there's compromise in there, because most single-family dwellings fit within those first three categories,
Right.
is the thing. So
Right.
when you get to commercial, it's just very, very different, and it's based on square footage. I don't think that you have to have fire sprinklers in every single commercial building under the,
Really?
under the new laws, no. It's a square footage that's been there for a long time.
Really, I don't think that's correct on new construction, no, it can't be.
I don't think.
Well,
California
it
has
could
to have.
be. It could be, but I can check into it, because I don't know the building codes,
Matt,
changes.
Matt does.
No, not,
No, we actually have a
Liz
building
might.
official that
Yeah.
knows.
We'll get back to you on the commercial.
so we can get back to you on that if you'd like us to look at that, but,
Well, yeah, cause I don't think on this, we're actually comparing apples to apples.
Well,
In a sense, you know what see what I'm saying?
Still have
I
to
understand
open
that,
the
but
hearing.
the reason why they're not apples to apples is at one point they really were,
Okay,
and
hey
then we.
guys, I have to open the hearing.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, I just looked down and I realized, okay, I hereby open the public hearing to solicit comments regarding the city's intention to adopt a resolution approving updates to the city's capital improvement plan and development impact fee. Are there any comments from the audience? Any comments? I think I've said it 3 times.
We were being very productive.
We jumped right in with both feet. Are there any,
Yes.
are there any
I'm
comments
sorry.
from the audience? Any comments? Okay, then I will close the public hearing and bring it back to
To
council
discussion.
for your productive discussion. Sorry about that.
You know, for the most part, I'm, you know, good with this. I just, I think it's something we need to address in the future, really look into some of this stuff, you know, like you and I discussed. and-
Sure.
So you know, this is, from what I understand, it's every 6 months we need to have a review on this.
Once a year.
Annually.
It is annually.
Yes.
Where did I read 6 months? And I read something in here 6 months.
I
It was
didn't,
the original intent to look
Okay.
at the fees every 6 months.
Really?
Because we adopted them at a subsidized rate.
50%.
Correct.
it's
Are
still
we still
50.
there?
Uh-huh.
It's still at
I thought so.
50%. You know, and I don't believe that the public realizes that,
No, I
because
don't
I've
think
had
they do
people that
either.
complain about our development impact fees, and they just don't realize that we are at 50% what we would normally charge.
What it actually
What-
costs the
what-
city.
What it
Right.
actually costs the city,
Right.
right, so we're
Right.
actually donating half. Now, seeing as how we had 4 residences built in the last 4 years, we haven't really gone in the hole that much, but still, at some point in time, we are gonna have to take
Yeah.
a look at that,
Yeah.
that
But my-
50% reduction.
My concern is that might discourage the growth too, so.
It's not encouraging it.
Yeah,
It's not.
that's true.
Well, at this point, I feel we should just leave it the way it is, but I think we do need to have further discussions on it down the road, at this point in time. But I'm good at, right now, saying, fine, you know, leaving it at what it is. myself.
Yeah, but I think there's been a lot of, well, residential hasn't been, we've missed a lot of opportunities
Yeah.
on the commercial side,
Yes, definitely.
about 500,000.
Oh,
More than that,
wow.
700,000.
Yeah, there's some things
Wow.
on the commercial side that we need to look at, we really do.
Update.
There is, I was looking at
Mhm.
some other stuff that was on there, and I think we really need to review that for the future. Right now, because of the detail of it, I think we should go on with what it is, so we're not causing too much havoc, but we need to definitely review it for the future.
I agree.
Okay, any other comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, what's your motion? What's your
Let's,
motion?
to approve it as presented, I
As
guess.
Adopt the resolution.
Adopt the resolution, there we go,
Adopt a resolution as presented.
as presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I received
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. So, that is the end of our lengthy agenda.
And I'll get back to you on commercial.
3 items.
I'll talk to him and email you out.
So,
Thank you.
we're down to city manager and staff reports. So, Mr. Baker, city manager.
Yes,
Do
I've-
you have a report?
Yeah, I have 2 items that I wanted to mention. One is that, in your boxes, maybe on your table, but if not in your boxes,
Right
there's
here, the paint thing.
a paint thing, on Saturday, September 15th, which is my brother's birthday, which means nothing.
In the mailbox.
So, but I should remember. And then the other thing that I wanted to do is that the council took some action on smart meters,
At the last meeting.
At the last meeting?
Mhm.
Subsequent to that, the California Public Utilities Commission did approve Pacific Power's original application. With it was a $20, $16 with the regular rate and the, I call it the lifeline, but they call it something different.
Care.
The care rate,
Care,
thank you.
is that what it is?
Thank you,
Okay.
Councilmember. So, anyway, that's going into place. The council also requested that there be 30 days notice before meters are installed. And those letters should be arriving shortly, is what I understand, with the installation scheduled to begin in early October. So I just wanted to give you a update on what happened and then also what Pacific Power has told us that they intend to do.
And we also discussed this with Monty Mendenhall, and he said that they did jump the gun a little bit and start installing them. And if someone wanted their new smart meter removed and the old meter put back on, they're not charging the reinstallation fee that would normally, that the PUC order allows, because they acted before the PUC had adopted its order, so.
Yeah, I saw actually on the news on Channel 5 that they were going to be waiving That
see it
monthly
too.
fee, was that what they were, what are they waiving?
I didn't see that.
They were waiving something
Probably
for
just what I'm
Jackson
talking
County?
about.
Probably
Jackson
the,
County.
probably
Putting
the
them back in.
probably the install fee.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was it then,
Right.
okay.
Cause, and if you think about it, if you have an analog meter to start with and you just wanna keep it, there's not an installation, it's only if it happened and it needs to be rescinded that it would be a waiver.
Okay. Okay, because I know there were some pretty strong feelings about
Yeah.
that at the last meeting.
Yes.
Did you see
All
the letter
over.
to the editor today? There's one about the smart meters in there from Louise.
Louise
Mhm.
Alvarado, I saw the
Yeah.
email, so it's
She was on
probably the
the
same.
radio too, Louise was.
Mhm.
Announcement from Kevin, Louise,
Mhm.
about the whole thing.
Okay, is that the end of your report?
I did two things and.
Okay, are there, you did
City
two
Manager
things.
Baker, you might wanna bring up the public hearing for the school board. They're
Yes.
discussing increasing their
Yes.
school fees. Goes right along with our,
Development fees.
Did we ever close the public hearing on the?
Yes.
We did?
Yes.
I did close it,
Good.
Yeah.
with no comments.
So do you have?
Well, there were a lot of
all
comments,
got
but they were all
copies.
here.
Yeah.
The audience,
Lots
we
of
gave you a chance.
So, what the, my assistant city manager has asked me to point out is that the school district development fees are, they're planning to have those go up.
To raise it? Do you
Yes.
know what the
Coming
fee?
up.
you've all got the information.
Yes.
We
Okay,
provided.
Got it,
that's
yeah.
the one that's here?
Right.
No.
And they
I
use,
thought Dwayne might want it first.
they have a completely different formula, of course, but.
It was in your mail, Joan. I think you picked yourself earlier.
No, but I got in the mail with these two things.
Yeah.
No, that's what I gave you today. It was in
What's
your
that?
mailbox
Read it?
earlier this week.
No,
Yeah, I got these two things.
No, you picked those up for me today.
it's just an FYI because
I don't
we
have it,
have
but-
no
okay, I'll probably have it at
jurisdiction
home.
No.
over it, so it's just an FYI.
Okay,
Other
that's very
things that are
kind.
happening.
I remember reading it, so they are looking at increasing it, but they don't say by how much.
No, they do.
They do in the
They do.
resolution.
37 cents
From
more.
231 to 367.
Yeah.
Per square
Okay,
foot.
231
No.
to
Just switch to 37. It says 37 cents per
accessible
square.
space
There's actually two different rates depending on, whether it's
and 37 square.
commercial or residential, and
Oh.
No, I don't have
I
it.
believe both of
61
them,
cents per resident.
I know both of them are under the state cap, and I think that the commercial will hit the state cap. So,
Hmm.
anyway,
Okay.
Yeah, it's another 61 cents on commercial.
And the thing is we need to be very specific about that the city has no control over the Board of Education and the
Right.
fees that they set. They set their fees, and then we have our fees, which are at 50%. I don't think theirs are going to be at 50%.
No.
No.
So, but we do need to let the public know that. Okay, and that's the end of your report. How about staff reports? Do we have staff reports?
no.
No? Pretty quiet staff tonight. Okay, I guess that's because we're not.
I just took some
Okay, fair
photos
enough.
and I just wanna, I think I caught everybody but you, if we post those on Facebook, you'll find those.
What's that?
Of the pictures of the engines.
Of the engines? Oh, okay,
And it
sure.
had
I didn't
people in
see
it.
you. I didn't see you take any pictures. We'll have to go out and do it again.
No, she did.
She got your picture, you're on
Yeah.
Facebook now.
Oh, no. Okay, all right, thank you, Retta.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. How about you guys?
No.
Having it on Facebook? Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so we'll start with, council reports with you, Dwayne.
I'll keep it simple. There's a couple things going on in the homeless situation. I'm not gonna get into detail right now. One, it's going through the process that, in a higher court system that will affect the whole West Coast actually tremendously if things go the way they're going. And I'll have some, next city council will have some information about that, but it's kinda huge. One good note though, we, due to last January, we did this point in time count.
Yes, we did.
And we got, of course, this next January, we have to do a point in time count. Point in time count is to basically count the homeless activity in our area, Siskiyou County. And so we have for HUD, Housing and Urban Development has an accurate count of what we have, and it's actual national thing. But this last January was the first time that we did this, Siskiyou County participated in it. And it actually is gonna work out to a good thing. We actually are gonna see some money coming through the horn right now that, I don't know if anybody else knows about this, but, hopefully it'll get presented here shortly, but due to the PIT count, the direct effect of that, we actually are gonna see some money coming through, hopefully. It looks like it's a good thing, a guaranteed thing, just strictly because of the PIT count, we'll see a big chunk of money coming through.
Right, and that's
that
the
will-
first time that we've ever done a point-in-time count of
Yep.
homeless. That's
Yep.
why we're getting the funding.
That's why we're getting this funding, and so there's a reason why we do some of these things that we do, and that's the direct effect of it. So hopefully we can use that money to a positive thing to help out our community on this issue, so. If anybody wants to get involved in the point in time count this next January, I definitely will need some help again. So anybody that wants to help me out, I need it.
I'll
So
be
that's
there.
what it's leading to, that
Well, I
I
think
need
I'll be
help.
there. I'll be there if
Oh,
I'm
yeah, if we're
reelected.
reelected,
I'll be
yeah.
there. That was
Don't
it.
need to, you don't have to be reelected.
It was
that's
Help
true.
out.
Oh. You got me there.
Gotcha.
Yes. No, I'll be happy to help. It was, I did enjoy it. It was
It
good
was
to
good.
talk to people and find out
It's
a little
very
bit about,
educational.
yeah, what's happened in their life and
Yeah.
the ones that would speak to us.
But I just wanted to point that out, that, our efforts of what we're doing with the Siskiyou Homelessness Coalition is actually making an effect, and hopefully it'll be a positive effect in the near future, so.
Mhm.
That's all I got to say.
Good point. Okay, thank you, Dwayne. Norm, you gonna tell us about your trip?
Nothing, we were gone for 2.5 weeks, 12 states, 6 national parks.
Wow.
So I'm glad to make it back, but still smoky.
Yeah.
California smoke, we saw it in the skies all the way to Nebraska and South Dakota.
Oh,
So it wasn't until we got to Minnesota and Iowa that you're in more wet conditions where the air was cleaner.
Cleaner, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was not just in the west, it's back east too.
It's making its way across the country, California smoke.
Wow. Oh, no.
Yeah.
All the way to
We don't
New
wanna
York.
be famous for that.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's
I've
not
heard
good.
people in New York that have smoke from us.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just one item, and Collier Rest Stop, I'm involved with them on their board. And we have
Not the rest stop,
Collier Interpretive and Information Center.
right.
Old people call it the rest stop.
I know, but you don't work for Caltrans.
No. No, I don't. But it is reopened, and I hope people will go and enjoy it. It's,
Well, it
We've
would
done-
be, but the water is off
Yeah,
now,
I was gonna
so
say,
they
it's not
weren't
open
open
yet.
today.
oh, they were doing a soft opening to make sure that all of the new
Yeah.
infrastructure they put in was working efficiently, and apparently there was a fly in the ointment.
Yeah, they
So-
replaced the water system and the new water system doesn't work and neither did the old one, so
Okay,
I don't know what's
I
going on.
drove by it today and
It
it
said
still
closed,
said
yeah.
closed.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's a soft opening.
Very soft secret opening.
Yes, yes. So we did do a few improvements while we took the opportunity to, while there was no foot traffic in there. And I actually haven't seen the new entry, but we have, we had tile installed and tile in the kiosk and, or new flooring anyway, and repainted an accent wall and cleaned it up, windows inside and out. So please go visit it. That's all.
Great, super, good job.
I'd like to add to that Debbie has put a lot of time into this, so.
She
if you
has.
do-
A lot of people have.
Honestly, if you do get a chance to go check it out, please check it out, because she has put a lot of time into this.
Yes, Debbie and Grace Bennett.
Grace, she's a workhorse, my
Yes.
goodness.
She is.
Mhm.
She's amazing. Okay, well, thank you. It's been a busy few weeks, and I wanted to start with the Fire Safe Council meeting, which council member Norm usually goes to, and you asked me to go, and thank you. I haven't been for a while. I used to go to these all the time. And it was an interesting meeting. Of course, you all know this has been such a huge fire danger year. And so the Yreka Fire Safe Council is working really hard on keeping Yreka safe and making sure that, that things are done. They have projects that they do. And so our Willow was there.
Code enforcement.
Our code enforcement officer was there, and she gave them a really good rundown on all the things that she had done. And so as our code enforcement officer, then she looks out for, for the code things, for the weeds being down. Then of course, if there are complaints, then they're registered with Willow. Martindale, right? And then she writes it down, and she goes out and she looks at it, and then she writes a letter to the landowner, the property owner, and tells them they have X amount of time to comply. And the Fire Safety Council thought that that was wonderful. They also wanted to talk to us about alleys, and what Willow told them is that, you know, our Public Works Department's been working really hard on roads. And as you all know, the money from Proposition C that was passed last year or a year before, was actually going for roads. And great job, Matt. Your crew has done a great job. And we had a contract with the county, right? And the county did a great job along with our small crew. And they worked, gosh, 24/7 to get the job done. And they did a great job. I've heard good things. I hope all of you have heard good things about the roads, so good job. And also, let's see what else. They wanted the alleys. There were a few spots left with some weeds that Willow's working on. They're working on getting them put down. And the one thing that she did say that I think got a lot of attention was that if they send out a letter and somebody can't comply or don't have the money, as long as they work with her, they work with the city, that she will work with them to make sure that, you know, that it gets done if they need extra time. But when people ignore the notices, that's when they're going to get the fines. And they're going to be fined for not getting it cleaned up, because it's a risk. It's a fire risk for all of us that live in the city. So I was very impressed with her. I think she did a good job, and the Fire Safety Council is trudging right along. I think they're doing good.
She's a gem. We're lucky to have
She is
her.
great, and they congratulated us for doing a good job of hiring her, so I want you guys all to know that. Also, we had a local transportation commission meeting that I forgot to report on the last time, and I'm the chair of the local transportation. Those of you that don't know, LTC consists of 4 cities or 5 cities, and then 3 representatives from the Board of Supervisors. And we meet monthly, except we're not having a meeting next month. There is an item on the agenda. So we did bring money back, right, Matt, to complete that project that you've got that goes up to Greenhorn. Is that the bicycle lane? So, no, we voted on it. That money's coming back to Yreka. So that's a good thing. The poor little city of Fort Jones wasn't able to get their funding because of some internal problems that they're having. So I'm hoping they'll be able to fix that. But for right now, that money's put aside for when they are able to. The Water Committee also had a meeting last week before? Last week, I think. And then those of you that attended the Jefferson State Stampede, I don't know if you guys made it over there, but the little town of Montague came out in great force, and lots of people from Medford and Mount Shasta and all over Siskiyou County and Klamath County. They had a lot of contestants. In fact, I was impressed. There were more contestants at the Jefferson State Stampede than there were at the fair.
Nice.
Wow.
That was interesting, but I tell you what, they work really hard on it. Bill and Sherry Nicoletti and their team worked really hard on it, and they did a great job. Brought some money into the local area, and I was proud to be able to go over there and help Rotary and work on that. That was really fun. And there were a few other meetings that I can't recall right now. It's been a busy couple of weeks, but anyway, I think it's good. Anybody else have anything to say for the good of the order? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we have a closed session. That's right, we have a closed session, so we will adjourn into our closed session at this time. Thank you all for coming.